What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, welcome back to another edition of Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. You guys, today's kind of a fun day. I was a little, yesterday was it was a slow news day. I kind of feel like with all the other, political things in the air right now, it was a really hard day to try and scrounge the internet and what are we going to talk about? Oh, here's a topic. Let's discuss that. Today, I feel like, some interesting things have dropped in the news, and I'm pretty excited about it. And to help us talk about the things that have just dropped in the news today, I have a very good friend of mine. She and I go way back. We've been friends for a very long time. Of course, I'm not going to tell you what company we used to work for, but we used to work for the same company together. Ladies and gentlemen, a former flight attendant, very good friend of mine. Please put your hands together for Ms. Ash Ward. Woo, 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 woo.
Hi. Sorry, I thought I would do the elevator entrance.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely wonderful. I loved it. I wish I could relive that moment over again for the first time.
We'll make it a GIF, and it will go viral, probably.
Yes, please. Ash, you and I have known each other for quite a while. We have gallivanted literally around the world together. We went to Disneyland Paris together. We did improv together in Chicago.
Yeah.
At I.O. in Chicago. And I don't know, what else have we done?
We saw each other at a company event also in Chicago.
Ew.
We got pizza that night.
Gross.
Yeah.
It was fun hanging out, but yeah, the pizza was good.
Yeah.
Pizza
right,
was good.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, we've gallivanted around the world together, and it's been a ball.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute ball.
Yeah.
Actually, thank you so much for joining me and just having your own experience and expertise and your own outlook and purview on some of the things that we're going to talk about today. Anything?
Well, we'll see, but thanks for having me.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, guys, if you have not already done so, head over to our YouTube page, type in Gotta Love Them Movies. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you will see a little red box that says subscribe. Go ahead and click on that button. What clicking on that button does is it helps us to widen our subscriber base. But Mike, you say, we're watching the show right now on the Facebook Lives. Why do we have to go to YouTube and subscribe to your channel? Well, Gary, that's a great question. Thanks for answering? Thanks for answering that question for yourself, Gary. But here's the thing, you guys. The more subscribers we have, the more people that watch the videos, the more videos that get watched, I earn more ad revenue. So I get to make this show my full-time job. So I'd very much appreciate going over to YouTube, click that subscribe button, and, all the rest of it. And of course, as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, the show will be moving from Facebook to YouTube. So just something to be aware of there. All right, guys, with all that done and out of the way, it's time to open up a little bit of movie news.
What?
All right. And our first bit of movie news today comes to us from, this particular article is from Esquire. However, it would appear that Lashana Lynch, if you didn't already know, there's a new James Bond movie coming out called No Time to Die. I feel like the vast majority of us should have already been aware of this. The film was supposed to come out this last spring, right? It didn't. COVID hit. All of the poops have hit all of the fans. It's gotten everywhere. And cinematically, the big major release, not even just the big major releases, but a lot of films that were supposed to come out in theaters have all been delayed. For a long time, movie theaters were shut down across the United States, if not the world. And very slowly, some of these theaters have started opening back up and started playing older films. It's weird to say an older film is Jurassic Park and Back to the Future, but these are the films that are being screened right now. In addition, there are a few new releases coming out, and people are slowly going back to the theaters. Tenet came out, The New Mutants came out. There's a new Robert De Niro movie, I think called Playing with Grandpa or like Raging with Grandpa. Wouldn't that be a great title? First of all, before we hit this news about Lashana Lynch, Ash, would that not be like a great title for a movie, like a comedy with Robert De Niro, Raging with Grandpa?
Right. And like there's no other person who could play the raging grandpa
No.
other than Robert. Well, that's not true. Let's see.
Well,
I
like
feel
he would
like
have to
who
be
was
a
the guy in
washed
Meet the
up.
Fox?
If he was a washed up boxer who's like, all right, kind of like taking that raging bull thing and kind of like moving
Right.
on to the next
Well,
stage.
okay, are we saying raging as in angry or raging as in throwing a rager? That changes the dynamic entirely.
I feel like we should get our very good friend Seth Rogen to write this script. Let's get him to pen the script. I feel like this is right up his alley.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, I'll call him later and
Please
see.
do.
We actually
Please do.
we've got a date tomorrow, but I'll shoot him a text
Yikes.
tonight and see if
Well, if you can get me in, please get me in. But going back to our main topic, you guys, Lashana Lynch was just interviewed the other day, and she let slip that it is confirmed she actually is taking on the 007 moniker. Now, here's what this means. Is Lashana Lynch playing James Bond? No. James Bond is inherently a male character. He's not inherently a white character, but he is inherently a male character. Is Lashana Lynch playing James Bond? No, because James Bond is a character. 007 is his employee ID number. That's it. So for anyone who's out there saying, rage in the air, Lashana Lynch is playing James Bond. No. That is not what's happening. That is not what's happening. We've already been told that at the beginning of this new film, well, actually, if you watch the last one, Spectre, which is a piece of trash, by the way. I hated that last movie. It ends with, spoiler alert, James Bond gave up his 007 status. He walked away from MI6. I was about to say the IMF. He walked away from the Impossible Mission Force. He walked away from MI6, and he fell in love again, I guess. I don't know. This is part of what makes Spectre just a trash film. And he just kind of like threw away his title, his 007. So this new movie picks up with James Bond living in Jamaica, and guess what? Lashana Lynch is the new 007. Like, they needed to fill that spot, so they filled it with her character. She's playing the character of Naomi. So yeah, she's not James Bond. She's 007. And I think that this is really intriguing, you guys. I think this is really cool. One of the things that, first of all, this article points out a lot of stuff. Everything from expectations from the masses to, potential borderline racism. It points out stuff of like how the character of James Bond has endured over the years, kind of where the future of the franchise is going. Like, there are things about the 007 franchise that are happening now that couldn't have happened 40 years ago. There are things that happened 30 years ago that could not have happened in like the 20 years prior to that film coming out. So, things that what's his face? Yes, Roger Moore. Yeah, sorry. Things that the Roger Moore James Bond did in his films could not have been done in the Sean Connery films, because it was, at the time in the 60s, it would have been too edgy, and then things that they did in the 80s could not have been done in the 70s, like Timothy Dalton. When it was time for him to play Bond, they got away with doing stuff and taking the character to new places that they wouldn't have dared to take Roger Moore's character. Same thing with Pierce Brosnan, same thing with Daniel Craig. So the evolution of the character keeps changing. And I've always said for the longest time, 007 is a moniker. It's a moniker. It's an employee number. It is not synonymous with James Bond. I mean, it's become kind of synonymous over the years because, like, why would we stop to consider anything otherwise? But now the filmmakers are challenging what we have taken for granted for all these years, in that 007 does not belong to James Bond. And I think this is really cool. I think this is a really interesting idea. I think this opens up new storytelling. I think it's possible, maybe not probable, but it's possible for a spin-off film starring Lashana Lynch as Naomi playing 007. I think that definitely opens itself up to new storytelling and whatever. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we could continue on with James Bond movies doing his own spy thing. Who knows? Maybe he comes back to MI6. Maybe he starts his own version of MI6. Who knows? Ashley, let me kick it to you. You're hearing about this maybe today for the first time. I'm not sure. But you're familiar with James Bond and the franchise and everything that people like, expectations that people have had for years and whatever. How does this strike you? That a brand new character is taking over the moniker of 007. And do you think that this is an edgy thing? Do you think this is a wise decision? Like, where do you stand on this?
Yeah. Well, I was in film school up until yesterday. I dropped classes because, we lost our job and there's like a bunch of other things going on in the world. So
I'm sorry. I
right
was
now,
taking a drink of a sip of my drink. When you said that you dropped out of film school literally yesterday, I almost spit my drink all over the place. Sorry, that was hilarious. As you were.
oh, great, great. Yeah. The irony of me being on the show right now. But in film school, I was taking a drama of diversity class. And one of the things that we talk about is the importance of representation in films. And I think a big part of that is, what do you do with all these movies that are always going to come out, like, the James Bonds, the Mission Impossible, all these, or like the A-Team. I don't know what that movie is called, but like
The
all these
A-Team.
movies that have like A-Team. I crushed it. Great. um, yeah, all these movies that have like strong male characters and straight or white male characters. I think that we're in a time now where we're seeing diversity enter into cinema the way it really can't in books and in music and in art. Cinema lends itself the opportunity to reinvent characters or ideas from similar stories or storylines. So I think it's really important that they're making this film and passing the badge number over to, it's not like they're going to retire it for James Bond,
No.
but it's nice that they're adding some, or they're being more inclusive. This is something that we really need, especially in 2020.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And you have a really interesting take on this in that, like, you've taken a diversity in film class. I never had the opportunity to go to film school, so that's an experience and opportunity that I've just never been exposed to. But yeah, I look at this as, this can only be a good thing. Anytime, like, how many movies? Let me pose you with a challenge, Ash. On one hand, you have 5 fingers. Can you count? I know this might be hard. How many films can you count that have a straight white male lead? It might be difficult, but can you do it?
Oh, God, let's see. Let's see here. Any genre of movie, right?
Any genre. It's up to you.
Oh God, okay.
Point
Man,
being,
one now coming to mind.
point being, I mean, we could carry on with this bit forever.
Forever.
Yeah, it's straight white male leads are a dime a dozen. This has been the trend
Right.
for generations, for decades, and if not a century, over a century, as the film industry has been around and alive.
Well, and you think of theater and how in Shakespeare's era, men were playing women, white men were playing colored people.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. this has been the trend that, straight white men have always been the ones to say, all right, well, I'm going to take it upon myself to play this other. And I get it. Like, that is the job of an actor, no matter who, like, what your racial makeup looks like, no matter your sexuality, whatever. The job of an actor is to play something that you're not, period.
Mm-hmm.
But it does raise the question of inclusion and, like, why has there been such a strong division? And I think going back to the Lashana Lynch playing 007, not James Bond, but playing 007, I think is a really interesting idea. Because again, like Ash, as you point out, this is in 2020. This is an issue that has been brought up a lot. And anytime that we can take any established character, and this has kind of been going on for, a few years now. We saw this in 2016 Ghostbusters. Not a great movie, but
The women, am I right?
but no, it was an interesting experiment, and I loved seeing that group of characters together. I loved seeing what they did. It didn't work for me as a Ghostbusters movie. If it was like a different kind of a thing, or maybe actually even if keep it as a Ghostbusters movie, but just improve the script maybe a little bit. Maybe take some of the improvisation out. Yeah. 'Cause I think that's one of the things that hurt the film. Too much improvisation. Never thought I'd hear myself say that.
I know. I am shocked.
Right? But I see this only as a good thing because we can only benefit from this. We can only get new perspectives. We can only branch out and hear new voices and hear what other people have to say. When you keep getting the same demographic coming back over and over and over again, your ideas become limited. But when you have a wider demographic base, and trying something new, that's the whole thing. And I don't have high hopes for this movie. I have been extremely vocal about this for quite a while now. I'm looking forward to the Cary Fukunaga, who is the director. I think he's going to do a really cool job. I don't know. Billie Eilish doing the music for the film crushes my heart. Oh, I hate Billie Eilish. Oh, I hate her so much. Oh, I can't stand her.
I just started getting into her. But that's how I knew about the new 007 movie, which is hilarious. I went to film school.
I get it. And that's the thing. I don't begrudge Billie Eilish. Like, she's objectively extremely talented. If she wasn't, she wouldn't have won 3 Grammys her first time at the Grammys. That never would have happened. She's likable by a lot of people. She's talented. She knows what she's doing, and I think that she has a very bright career ahead of her. Her music is not meant for me. Let's be honest. I'm 38 years old. I'm a straight white male living in New York City. Her music is not meant for me. I don't care for it. Her music is meant for a very different generation, a very different demographic, and that's fine. I just don't care for it. So, I mean, like, all of these things are kind of hallmarks that I look at, especially coming off the heels of Spectre into No Time to Die. I just don't have high hopes for this movie. I hope it's going to be amazing. I'm not allowing myself to hope that high. Ashley, are you going to see the film, and what are your general overall thoughts there?
Well, I haven't really followed any of the James Bond movies. I'm not really a great film student because my interest lies more in documentary style film.
Yeah.
But I think I will see it. I mean, because you and I are talking about it, I feel like I have to. And I think it's important to support films that are I don't want to say breaking the norm because I think that this is the new norm. I have to let my dog out or she's going to just lose
you
her
do
mind.
that, and I will just finish up here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, guys, what do you think of the new Bond film coming out? What do you think of Lashana Lynch playing 007? She's not playing James Bond. She's only taking on the moniker of 007. What does that mean to you? Are you excited for it? Are you over it? Are you somewhere in the middle? I want to know. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, let's move on to our next bit of movie news today. And our next bit of movie news comes from Comic Book Resource. And let me preface this by saying, again, when you go to Comic Book Resource, check their sources. See what's going on. Read between the lines a little bit, because Comic Book Resource doesn't always put out 100% truthful things. Sometimes they exacerbate the rumor mill a little bit. But here in this particular article from Comic Book Resource, it is being discussed that Brandon Routh, who played Superman in the 2006 film Superman Returns, directed by, I can see his face in my mind. You know who I'm talking about. Usual Suspects, the guy who directed Usual Suspects and X-Men. Oh, shoot. I can see his face. Doesn't matter. He directed that film.
Bryan Singer.
Thank you. Bryan Singer. Directed by Bryan Singer. It is being discussed because, as we know, there is an upcoming Flash film. And it's tentatively subtitled Flashpoint Paradox. Or rather, just Flashpoint, rather, right? So if you're not familiar with the Flashpoint storyline in the comics, Barry Allen, the Flash, as we all know, he grew up. As he was growing up, his mother was killed from a home invasion. The police, who were corrupt in his city at the time, thought that it was his father that killed his mother. They were incorrect. Barry Allen's father goes to prison for the rest of his life, and so Barry Allen dedicates his entire life to trying to get his father out of prison and absolve his father from these alleged crimes, right? So in doing this, he goes to work for the police station. He has this. He was kind of a crime scene investigator. That was his job. In doing his crime scene investigations one night, he's at the office late at night. There's all these chemicals all around him. The building gets hit by a bolt of lightning. Lightning goes inside of Barry Allen, mixed with all of these crazy crime scene investigating chemicals surrounding him. And he emerges as the Flash. That's how Barry Allen gets his superpowers. Now, his superpowers is that Barry Allen can run really, really, really fast. In fact, Barry Allen, as the Flash, can run so fast. If he goes fast enough, he can break through the time and space barrier. He can time travel if he runs fast enough. And when Barry Allen figures this out in the comic called Flashpoint Paradox, when Barry Allen figures this out, he decides he's going to go back to when he was a little kid and stop his mother's murder. He's going to figure out who murdered his mom. He's going to stop them from murdering his mom. He's going to, his mother will continue to live and exist, and his father will have never gone to prison for being framed for murdering his mother, or I guess his wife. So that's and then of course in doing so, you change the past, you change the future, nothing turns out the way that Barry Allen actually wants. So then he has to go back and, set it up so that his mother does, see her own demise, and then things turn out the way that they were always supposed to, right? So in doing this, in the film, it's already been confirmed that Michael Keaton is reprising his role as Batman. But guess what? Ben Affleck as Batman also exists in this universe. So we're getting, and it's also been confirmed that Ben Affleck is coming back to play Batman. So we're getting Michael Keaton Batman. We are getting Ben Affleck Batman. We are presumably, I guess, getting a Henry Cavill Superman, who already currently plays Superman in this universe. I mean, that's a complicated thing because he's already quit, but is he coming back? It's a whole thing, but presumably, right? Well, now it's being reported that Brandon Routh is in talks to come back and reprise his role as Superman in the upcoming Flash movie. I get it. That was a long exposition that took a lot of explanation to tell you guys what was going on. But here's what the article actually says. Let's go to the article, shall we? So Brandon Routh was being interviewed on a podcast, and this is what he said about him, about the possibility of him coming back to play Superman. He says, quote, "I mean, That's always a possibility, said Routh in an interview with the Geek House show. And of course, since they're bringing back Michael Keaton, which I'm excited about, and some other people from past DC projects, I think it's very exciting. Brandon Routh goes on to say, it worked very well with Crisis on Infinite Earths. You know, Crisis on Infinite Earths was the television adaptation comic book storyline that they did in TV where he came back and he reprised his role as Superman. It worked very well with Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I was extremely proud and honored to be part of it and to reprise Superman. So it's absolutely a possibility. I mean, you can do anything with Superman. You know, everybody lives and dies all the time in the comics. So that is officially what Brandon Routh had to say about the possibility of reprising his role as Superman in the upcoming Flash movie. And let me tell you this, that does not mean Brandon Routh is coming back to play Superman. Chances are very likely it is not going to happen. Somebody just asked him about the possibility, and Brandon Routh said, well, I guess it's a possibility. People always live and die in the comics. And especially with this story where Barry Allen crosses into not just the past and the future, but also other dimensions, bringing in other versions of Batman, other versions of Superman, other versions of himself as the Flash, and so on and so on and so on. It's a possibility, but it all depends on the script, and absolutely nothing has been confirmed. Ashley, you are probably the biggest comic book superhero fan I have ever known, period. And of course, I'm being completely facetious.
Can you see all the bobbleheads behind
So
me?
many toys behind you.
So
more
many.
than me.
Way more.
I don't know if you've seen any of these movies, but what are your thoughts on Brandon Routh's comments? From an outsider's perspective, I think it's fair to call you an outsider. How does an outsider see the extreme fandom and excitement from fanboys and fangirls jumping on this idea in this bandwagon? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, Mike, I think the first thing we have to address here is OSHA's lack of, I don't know, checking on all these science labs and justice systems. OSHA really needs to get in there. They have spider attacks, and like there's always some sort of like, mishap with the building, or the beakers are smashing. It's just a mess. So we really got to get in there and clean that up.
That's a
priority
fair
number
point.
one.
That is a very fair point. Something that we aren't taking seriously enough.
Right. I think we've all seen the importance of health and safety this year, and the comics are, they're no exception. But I used to be really into X-Men, and I kind of like dropped off, I don't know, the superhero bandwagon in its entirety, when Jean like blew up and then everything just kind of ended. And then when Ellen Page like went back, I can't remember how this story goes, I'm sure, but like when she goes back in the past and like tries to figure something out and then everything starts over, I was like, well, I'm done here, because I was attached to the first storyline. And now I think going in and adding all these other storylines, I love the idea of merging them together, like to, combine dimensions. That way you can see a whole bunch of characters. And I saw the new, the Spider-Man one where they had multiple universes.
So cool.
It was really, really well done. I think normally I would have been hesitant to watch a movie like that, but it was playing on a flight. So I was like, while I'm here, I may as well. Yeah, that's kind of my take on superhero movies in general. I feel like there's no, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but there's no like nostalgia there anymore, because they keep reopening these
Yeah.
storylines and throwing in characters and changing characters, or actors, I suppose. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
like I totally understand that, and I, I think it's important for us to realize that like these are the films that are making money right now. These are the types of movies that we want to keep seeing. Like, let's go back to James Bond for a minute. James Bond has endured, 50. It's in 1962, so 58 years. Am I getting that right? 58 years. Um, James Bond has been around in the movies for 58
Hmm.
years. That's a long time. That's a really long time. And we don't just have one incarnation of James Bond. Like James Bond keeps evolving and growing. The same thing with like the superheroes. Like how many people have played Batman? We have so many different incarnations of Batman. We have new incarnations coming out. And while like I love this idea of kind of merging these universes together, because let's be honest, like you don't have to go any further to see a divided fandom than Star Wars. Star Wars has some of
Right.
the most divided fans of all time. There are people that are die-hard lovers of the prequel movies. Episodes 1, 2, and 3. They're garbage. They're complete garbage films, in my opinion. Complete subjectivity. There's somebody else out there that has seen that watches the prequel films, and they love them even more than the original trilogy. Completely fair. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't see eye to eye with that opinion. Um, so and the same thing with the Zack Snyder universe of like the DCEU, the DC movies. We have Man of Steel, we have Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, we have the Justice League, we have Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, the Suicide Squad, 2016 Suicide Squad. Like there's so many like incarnations and versions of these, and they're trying to build a universe. And I get it, that universe has not worked very well. So now I feel like, to your point, Ash, you're talking about Ellen Page in X-Men Days of Future Past. She sends Wolverine back to kind of like,
There we go.
to reset the whole thing. And
Oh,
and I think
yes.
the fans, the diehard fans like myself, we're looking at this like, oh, thank heavens, you're resetting the universe so that we can start afresh and start making a coherent universe. Because up until that time, it was not a coherent universe. Same thing with, the DC films. That universe is not a very coherent universe. And there's a lot of things, especially storytelling wise, that just don't work and that don't rise to fans' expectations in the masses. Now, again, I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't love this franchise. Of course there are. But if you're looking for the majority of inclusion in terms of fandom, Flashpoint Paradox is the perfect film to kind of push that reset button and say, all right, you guys, this is an opportunity to get everybody involved and to kind of have everyone figure out like this is what all the different universes mean. This is how they connect together, and I think that's a really cool idea. But from a layperson's perspective, is that just rehashing things too much? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea of starting fresh, with movies like this, it adds more kind of to the confusion and the coherency of a film, for me at least. But that could just be because I'm not as invested. So already I'm like, where do I start? And this is
Yeah.
another bone I have to pick. Someone like me who hasn't like been a diehard like superhero movie fan my entire life or comic book fan my entire life. I look at like these franchises and I'm like, where do I start?
Hmm.
Like I'm overwhelmed already. And it's the same with Star Wars. This is a perfect example because I've had people tell me like, don't even bother watching the prequels. Like just watch 4 through 6 and you're fine. And it's like, well, I want to see the movie in chronological order. And then you also have people who like hate the like Star Wars story movies, and I personally love
Right.
them. Um, so yeah, it's hard to say. I understand the respect that people like in your camp must have for these movies and for their ability to kind of reinvent the wheel. But for me, it's just an overwhelming mess of capes.
I like how you put that. It's an overwhelming mess of capes. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Are you like Ash? Do you find this all to be an overwhelming mess of capes? Or are you looking forward to the Flashpoint Paradox movie? What are the chances? Let me pose this to you guys. What do you think the chances are of Brandon Routh actually reprising his role as Superman in the upcoming Flashpoint movie? Do you think they're pretty high? Do you think they're pretty low? Are you somewhere in the middle? I would be very interested. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, we are moving on to our next bit of movie news today. This is our third bit of movie news. And woof. I mean, we thought the movie theaters had it bad. I mean, of course, I'm not trying to undermine that. Of course, the movie theaters have it bad. They probably have it worse than most other industries out there. However, the companies that license a lot of these IPs out there they're finding themselves in a very precarious situation. Because here's the thing, you guys. So in the title of this particular article, how COVID-19 rocked Hollywood's $125 billion licensing and consumer product cash cow. Let me break that down for you. All that means is that these companies that have licensed intellectual property like Wonder Woman or James Bond or, Black Widow or whatever, there are companies that need, like McDonald's or t-shirt companies or lunchbox companies or whoever, crayons, Crayola or whatever. There are these companies that, in order to put, like, say, Wonder Woman on their packaging, they need to create a deal with Warner Brothers, a licensing deal, and say, okay, yeah, for this amount of money, we will allow you to use this image and this message, essentially, along with your product. So let's say crayons. Let's say a box of Crayola crayons, right? If they want to slap Wonder Woman on their box of Crayola crayons and have every color in the box either be red or gold or blue or, something that is, maybe a different shade of red, a different shade of gold, a different shade of blue. If they want to package all of these crayons as this is the Wonder Woman crayon set, if they want to do that, they're more than welcome to do that, but they need licensing to be able to do it. They need permission, and they need permission from Warner Brothers, and the only way they're going to get permission is by throwing a little cheddar their way, right? So here's the thing. Crayola, in this analogy, is not going to release their box of Wonder Woman crayons until the movie is coming out. And at this point, we don't really know if the Wonder Woman movie is coming out on Christmas Day or not. I mean, first of all, Warner Brothers really needs to make up their mind. Are they doing it? Are they going to commit to it? Or are they going to pull the plug and delay the film by 6 months or a year or something like that? That, first of all, step number one, that's something that they need to figure out. Secondly, these other companies like McDonald's or Crayola or t-shirt companies or whoever, whatever, they have these licensing deals already established. So like, say if in this article, and I highly recommend you guys go over to Variety and read this article because it goes into so much more depth and detail than what I'm able to go through on the show. I mean, bar me just reading the article verbatim. And it's really interesting. It's really fascinating. But it starts a domino effect. So let's say Jurassic World Dominion, right? Jurassic World Dominion is the next big Jurassic World movie to come out. But if parents want to buy, or rather, if the Jurassic World toy people want to be able to have like the brand new dinosaur, whatever it is, let's call it the I love Ninja Turtles, so let's just call the new dinosaur the Michelangelo Rex, right? So if the Michelangelo Rex is the new dinosaur of the new Jurassic World movie, then the toy company definitely wants the Michelangelo Rex to be on shelves in order for in time for Christmas, right? Definitely have to have the Michelangelo Rex out there in time for Christmas, right? But what if the movie doesn't come out? Are you still going to put the toys out on shelves for Christmas? It doesn't make any sense. Because A, probably going to be spoilers. We've seen so many spoilers for films in the toys already, and you're going to be hit with so many more spoilers. But additionally, the toy sales convert to ticket sales. It's all about the consumer going and experiencing the movie, and then after they see the movie, they're like, wow, that was awesome. I need to have some of this merchandise in my life. I want to wear the Michelangelo Rex t-shirt. I want to buy the Michelangelo Rex lunchbox. I want to eat the Michelangelo Rex Doritos. I want to blah, 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 right? People love these stories so much, they want to take them home with them. And thanks to, licensing deals and merchandising, we can do that. Look at the t-shirt that I'm wearing. Look at the toys behind me. This is a thing that is so ingrained in our culture right now. But here's the thing, you guys. It's all about the timing. They can't put out the Wonder Woman Crayola crayons. And of course, this is just an example that I've made up. They don't actually exist. But it sounds like a cool idea, doesn't it? I wish it does exist. But the Wonder Woman Crayola crayons can't go on shelves until the movie's coming out. Otherwise, that is wasted marketing value. Wasted marketing value. If the crayons hit the shelf a year before the movie comes out, people are going to forget about the movie. People are totally going to forget about the movie. So right now, here's what's going on. The studios are trying to renegotiate their licensing deals with some of these other companies. And a big problem, as this article points out, is that a lot of these products have already been made. There is the Michelangelo Rex. There are, 50,000 or 100,000 Michelangelo Rexes sitting on a shelf somewhere in China. There's a 1,000,000,001 Wonder Woman dolls sitting on the shelf in China. There are, all these different toy products and potato chip bags and blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, a lot of these things have already been created. They've already been made. And now they're just taking up shelf space somewhere, whether it's in China or whether it's somewhere else in the United States or wherever they do their manufacturing. They're just taking up shelf life. And these other businesses need to move the product. But they can't move the product. This is a ridiculous situation, not because it's funny or silly, but this is a situation that I don't think the world ever found itself being put in before. Do you have any specific insight into this? And I don't know, is there a way to circumvent or mitigate this problem?
Yeah, I think we're so wrapped up in a consumerism society. And actually, I had never really thought about how intertwined film, specifically, superhero and comic genre films, are to products that we produce and that we rely on for Christmas. And I don't know. I just never really thought how big of a deal that is.
Huge. Yeah.
It is. It's a huge deal. And then that makes me think of, you said the domino effect. That makes me think about all of the people, throughout the supply and chain process who are losing their jobs because of something like this.
Man.
And their jobs are directly attached to, in some way directly attached to the production of these films. So it really speaks to the importance of these films in our society, but it also speaks to the way our society values consumerism and what might need to change in the future for this to not happen again. Because if you throw a wrench in one part, it stalls everything.
Everything
and that's
else,
what we're seeing now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with consumerism. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see your point. This has been the ongoing battle about Christmas for eons. Oh, I don't want to get wrapped. Christmas has become way too consumer, and it's all about the gifts and the buying and whatever. But the other side of the coin is that, well, it is though. It is. I don't know if there is getting away from that. I think there's bringing awareness to it, and I think that is good. I don't know if we're ever actually going to get away from the consumer aspects of it. Because again, like I see a movie like Jurassic Park, it's my favorite movie of all time, and look at who I have with me every single day when I do the show, right? I love having things around me. I love wherever I find or draw inspiration from. And I feel like this concept, maybe not the specificity of the concept, but the concept itself is kind of a universal truth, right? In that whatever things that we cherish, whatever things that we seek after and find inspiration from, we like to share that with other people. I wear t-shirts that have like nerd stuff on them because I love nerd stuff. But other people wear quotes from Nietzsche because they're very much in more of like a psychological, or not psychological, they're more into the like a psychological approach to life or whatever. Like people put out there the things that they take in. My father was huge into woodworking. He loved woodworking. He would just spend hours and hours and hours in the basement. And then whenever somebody would come over that hasn't been around for a while, hey, let me take you down to the basement. Let me show you some of the stuff that I've been working on. Meanwhile, the rest of us were like, oh, Dad, can you just not, please? But, it's that thing that whatever we're in love with, we love to share with other people. And we love to have things shared with us in that regard. And so, yes, there is the blind consumerism aspect to it where it's just money, 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 money. There's that aspect, yes, unequivocally. But I think there is also that personal connection as well that people like me enjoy. But you brought up a really fascinating point that even I hadn't stopped to consider, is that this is laying people off. This is like, yes, COVID has created such a world that people get furloughed, right? People get laid off. There just isn't enough work to go around right now. But also with the backup, it's such a huge domino effect. I don't think we fully understand or appreciate this. In that, films can't come out, which means that studios don't earn the money, which means that licensing deals can't go through, which means the products don't get manufactured, which means that people lose their job in the factory. It's and there's even more domino effects that go on associated to it. I don't know. It's a hard thing that we're kind of going through right now, completely unprecedented.
Yeah. Because it's like you have these things like movies that bring you so much joy. And then on the other hand, you see how quickly these dominoes start falling because one part of it derails. So because people can't get together, productions can't resume filming, especially for these like big films. And I know a lot of so this is going to be so interesting this time because it's going to bring out so much creativity. I feel like, and I know we're already starting to see this, but just a lot more like independent films.
Yeah.
And it's also going to be interesting to see how are they going to reshape, if at all, superhero movies, because this is a massive like franchise that you can't really just halt. So are they going to have additional visual effects? Like how are they going to do voiceover work? There's just a lot of factors that are going to play into this. So that's really interesting. And I'm excited to see how that plays out. But it also makes me wonder, what does this look like for the future of consumerism and advertising as well? Because we've put so much of our eggs in this basket of we make movies. And because we make movies, we produce these products. And this is the cycle of life for us. So it's going to be interesting to see what the future of film and advertising and supply and chain management look like because of this.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Like, how is this going to work? How is it all going to be affected? And I guess the big question for you guys is, what do you think of all this? Like, what do you think the future of filmmaking is going to look like? Do you think we're going to try and keep the same standard that we've been, building up and ramping up to over the past few years? Or do you think things are going to change drastically? We've already seen this change take in the form of, Disney has announced that a lot of their projects, A, are going straight to Disney Plus, but also B, they're creating new content specifically designed for their streaming service. And we see the same thing with Amazon. We see the same thing with Apple TV Plus. A lot of these streamers are starting to design content specifically for the streaming purpose, as opposed to, the potential loss of money in an exhibition theater. So how do you guys see this shaking out? How do you guys go, what are your thoughts about going about to fix this problem in terms of licensing and manufacturing and, all these products? Like, what do we do with these products that have already been made? Should we put them out there, or should they put them out there and just kind of let the chips fall where they may? Or should we find a huge warehouse and kind of box everything up for a while and sit on things until these big new releases come out? Huge question for you guys. Just jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, we have one last bit of movie news to cover, and this is something that when I woke up this morning, I saw. Oh man, my heart is full right now. So one of the longtime viewers of the show, Matthew Wiles, I'm just gonna go out and call you out. You had posted this on Facebook. We hadn't discussed this previously. I'm just gonna call you out. Matthew Wiles, fan of the show, longtime friend of the show. He posted on Facebook a link to a new trailer. And you guys, at first I thought this was a joke. I thought this was a fan-made trailer. I thought it was going to be a fan-made trailer. As I started watching it, I realized, oh no, this is legit. You guys, there is a Lego Star Wars holiday special movie coming out. In less than 2 weeks. In less than 2 weeks, Disney Plus is releasing a Lego Star Wars holiday special movie. It's only 44 minutes long, so it's maybe not a full-length movie, but I was watching this trailer, and it's funny. It's interesting. It looks fun. I feel like I'm totally engaged in it. If you've seen the previous Star Wars holiday special that was released on television back in 1977, I think it was in 77, it was garbage. It was complete garbage, but it's something that we've been watching for years. It's so bad. It's almost become like a passage of rites. Can you sit down and watch the abysmal Star Wars holiday special where Han Solo and Chewbacca are off gallivanting around the galaxy, and now it's Life Day. Whatever Life Day is, now it's Life Day, and Chewbacca needs to get back home to his home planet to be with his family to celebrate Life Day. And of course, all these things pop up in their way, and it's just silly and it's stupid. And B. Arthur makes an appearance. And there's the whole cast of Star Wars makes an appearance. It's terrible, it's bad, but we all love it for how bad it is. And now it would appear that Disney followed through on something that we didn't even know what was happening. A Lego Star Wars holiday movie. Oh man, Ash, I'm just gonna gush over this for the next little while. This looks stupid and fun, and I am in it 1,000%. It involves time travel. What?
You gotta love some time travel.
Did you watch the trailer? And if so, what were your reactions?
I did watch the trailer, and funnily enough, this is something I'm actually really interested in. And I think it really ties into what we've been talking about in terms of how can they reinvent the wheel kind of for these types of movies, because this is, all animation. And so that kind of lends itself to, keeping things in production, because a lot of this, thank God, we can now do remotely. Yeah. But I'm really excited about this movie, and I'm glad you said it's only 44 minutes, because the Star Wars movies are historically long, and yeah. I know because I just watched all of them in their entirety at the beginning of quarantine, and it kind of looks like they've just compressed a bunch of the storylines into one sweet little package.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I think it's going to be really good. And it's going to be funny.
It looks really funny, you guys. It looks really funny. And the music that they play, just that, you know, Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, themes from the Nutcracker, bum 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 bum. It just looks fun. It just looks so fun. And here, let me bring this up. The cast. Ash, earlier you were talking about the voice actors. I was looking up the cast because some of the voices seem so perfect. It sounds like Billy D. Williams is playing Lando Calrissian. And wouldn't you know, right here, Billy D. Williams actually is reprising his role as Lando Calrissian. And not just Billy D. Williams, but Kelly Marie Tran is also coming back to reprise her character Rose from the sequel trilogy. Anthony Daniels is coming back to play C-3PO. Now, here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. Down here on IMDb, it lists, you know, kind of all the actors or the voice actors in the project. And if you go through and look at all the characters, we have Rose, we have Anakin, we have Lando, we have a clone trooper, very generic, played by the very famous voice actor D. Bradley Baker. We have Qui-Gon Jinn and Yoda, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, we have C-3PO. But if you've watched the trailer, you guys, if you've watched the trailer, you would know that there are way more characters in this movie than what is just listed here. Now, if you go down and click on See Full Cast on the IMDb list, it lists the same exact list. So, I have a theory. This may not be a very clever theory. This may not be on point. But I have a theory that for this Lego Star Wars Holiday Special movie, I have a theory that they're getting more than just like other professional voice actors to come out and reprise or to play some of these roles. I actually think it's possible they may have gotten Harrison Ford to come out. I think it's extremely possible that they got Mark Hamill to come out and reprise Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill is a very famous voice actor. He did very famously the voice of the Joker from the animated Batman series. And not just that, but so many other things. I know he was in Transformers and whatever, blah blah blah. But I have a theory that they may have actually gone out and brought back a good amount of the cast to reprise their roles. Maybe not everyone. I don't think that that's Daisy Ridley's voice playing Rey. I don't think that is the guy who played Finn. I don't think that's his voice per se, but I think they may have actually gone out and gotten very specific people to come back and reprise their roles. Ashley, do you have any other thoughts or perspective on that?
Yeah, I was actually wondering if that was Daisy Ridley's voice because it didn't necessarily sound like her, but I was hoping it would be because I think that this would be a great opportunity to bring like the entirety of the Star Wars cast together. And that would be such a special project for all of those people to work on and just really special for people who love the Star Wars franchise to see, especially at like a time like this. I think that would be really sweet to just bring everyone together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm glad that I'm on the show with you today because I would not have known about it otherwise.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known about it otherwise. Well, I'm glad that we can bring this news to you, and I'm glad that we can bring this news to everybody. You guys, have you had a chance to see the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special trailer? If you haven't, I can't recommend it enough. It just looks fun and lighthearted and just silly and all sorts of ridiculous fun. Go check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Did you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, so with all of that down and out of the way, now it's time to go through and take some of your live questions.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Firing in live live questions all throughout the show. And this is the portion of the show that we go through and take your questions and comments and just see what everybody has to say about it. So first on the chopping block is Mr. Matthew Wiles, who actually brought us the news about the, if it wasn't for Matthew, I probably wouldn't have seen the trailer for the new Star Wars Lego movie.
Thank you, Matthew.
So much. So Matthew, coming all the way from Leeds in England, says, James Bond is a spy franchise. So whoever plays 007 is not really a problem for me, although if they made 007 American, I might raise Roger Moore's eyebrow. Kind of like that, the way that Roger Moore did. Historically, when a franchise replaces the men with women actors, for some reason it falls flat, like Ghostbusters or Oceans. Historically, yes. I agree with you. Historically, yes. Thus far, some of these franchises have fallen flat when they replace an all-male cast with an all-female cast. And I don't think that I truly, in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that has anything to do with men versus women. I don't. I think it's because we're relying so heavily on the gimmick of replacing women with men that becomes the sole focus of the property. We saw that, as you pointed out, in Ocean's 8. We saw that in 2016's Ghostbusters. And I think the writing of the story has suffered because whoever's writing, whoever's directing, whoever's filming is relying a little too much on this gimmick to take it to places that we're a woke society now. Well, of course we should just accept it. It's a female version of Ghostbusters. We should just accept it. Maybe, but we need a story. We need a good story. We need to see characters develop and grow, and we can't rely on the laurels of what came before. We need to establish these characters firmly in their own universe. And if that's, in Sandra Bullock's case, if she's the sister of Danny Ocean, that was never mentioned in any of the 3 films that came before, okay, fine. But we need to care about her. We can't just pretend to care about her because she's the sister of Danny Ocean. We need to care about her. We need to learn about what makes her tick and why she does the things that she does. And same thing with, Ghostbusters. Same thing with, Lashana Lynch as James Bond. Now, Lashana Lynch's Bond has the benefit of coexisting in the same universe as the former James Bond. So in that regard, the narrative has already been laid. Like, we already know the premise. We understand where this character is coming from. But yeah, I think we have come to we've come to rely a little too heavily on the gimmick too much. Ash, do you see this a different way? Do you have a different perspective on this? Where do you see the male-female takeover in certain IPs?
Yeah, it's hard to say because there's always going to be like a judgment towards these remakes because our expectation was already built up, or like Ghostbusters is a classic. And so already to go in and do a remake is a little iffy, and then to completely change the cast, which changes the storyline dramatically. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough position for women to be in. I mean, and people of color, just representation in general, because you don't want women to be judged because they're not performing, a role the way that the audience expects them to. But unfortunately, that's the only option we've been given because most of these cult classics have been male cast members. And that's truly just boils down to women not having opportunity in the earlier days of film.
See, I love what actors like Charlize Theron are doing, where they're creating their own characters. Furiosa from Mad Max, or her character from Atomic Blonde, or even The Old Guard. big action movies that are fun, that are interesting, that are very kick butt, very female empowering, but it's its own original property. It doesn't rely on, oh, well, this is the female version of Atomic Blonde. No, it's just Atomic Blonde. It's a fun movie. Now, full disclosure, Atomic Blonde, I loved the movie up until the last third act. The third act. It was dumb. It was so stupid. But that being said, like, we have opportunities to create new universes, to create new properties, and maybe there's merit in doing a female version of blank, but I'm more interested in just seeing an original property. Star Wars is awesome. Let's create something completely tangential. Let's see something completely different, something that we haven't seen before, instead of just doing, let's do female Star Wars, or let's do female Ghostbuster, or, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Moving on, shall we? Matthew Wiles goes on to write, so they would need to be careful if that was the direction they were going. Oh, I think that was, he was following up from his previous comment. So they would need to be careful in the direction that they were going. Yeah, that just goes on to pretty much underline everything that we just said. Matthew Wiles goes on to say, I think Brandon Routh is not a good actor. You are not alone in this opinion. In Legends, he was awful. I felt like I was watching a kid's school performance. Ouch. So I won't be into him being a Superman. He would just ham it up. I liked him as Superman. Ash, did you see Superman Returns in 2006? Did you see that movie?
I really have only seen the very, very first one, and that's it.
I unabashedly love that movie. I completely recognize I am in the vast minority when it comes to people who love that movie, but I love that Superman Returns movie with Brandon Routh. I love it. I think he did a great job. I also understand the argument that he's not a great actor. I think he's an adequate actor. I think he's fine. I think he's okay. He's not anything, why am I thinking of William Randolph Hearst? He is not an actor. Who am I thinking of? Daniel Day-Lewis. That's where I was going. Daniel Day-Lewis, he is not. Do you have any opinions on Brandon Routh, coming back to play Superman? Like, does it matter?
Are you asking me? Who?
Oh,
Who,
sorry.
me?
The Ashley that's behind you. Sorry, my apologies.
So sorry.
Hanging out with your huge toy collection back there.
Right. Yeah. She's crazy. I don't have a single opinion on Brandon Routh because, I don't know him and I've never seen his work.
How about
So
Brandon Routh is eye candy?
Well, I don't know. He's not really my type. I looked him up before the show started. He's all right.
I think he's a good-looking dude. William Zimmerly says 007 is a designation not registered for sex. I agree. If played right, it will work, but 007 needs to be the character and not change it because a woman is playing it. Hang on. What did he say? If played right, it will work, but 007 needs to be the character and not change it because a woman is playing it. Play it as a spy with a license to kill and willing to do anything to get the job done, including sleeping with a character like Grace Jones. By the way, why did 007 never have sex with the same-sex enemy to get the upper hand? I bet there won't be a problem if a female 007 does it.
That's a fair point.
That is a fair point. I think a lot of that just speaks to homophobia in our culture. I think that's the only reason that they haven't done it. In Skyfall, they alluded to James Bond sleeping with someone of the same sex to obtain his objective. They alluded to it. They never explicitly, first of all, showed it. They never explicitly talked about it, but they alluded to it. I mean, is it? It's definitely off the mark a little bit. It's definitely one-sided a little bit. But in your assessment, William, of whoever is playing 007, what should the 007 character be? I think that, what you described as, how did you say it? Play it as a spy with a license to kill and willing to do anything to get the job done. I agree with that, but I also feel like that comes under the job description of anyone who is a 00. Are you 001, 002, 003, 004, so on and so on and so on, right? I feel like that is within the job description. So if she's good enough to fill the slot, the job of 007, yeah, I feel like that's the job description of any of them. Do you have a different opinion, Ashley?
No. I think that's totally fair. If you're going to change up who is playing the character, they still need to represent, everything that the character entails and has always brought to the table. And you're right. I feel like they're not going to be like, and this is our spy. And it's like, I don't know,
I mean,
some like 14-year-old or, whatever.
a
Although that
14-year-old. Did you ever watch James Bond Jr., the cartoon? Did you ever see that? It was like,
No, of course not.
of course not.
Yeah, actually, that's the only James Bond thing I've ever
Oh, so
watched.
fun.
That's
It was so stupid. I loved it. It was on like Fox Kids or something like that when I was little in the 80s. Oh, I loved it. Matthew Weil says, I can't wait for Lego Star Wars movie. It looks so fun. Seriously, we should watch party it. LOL. I can't wait for the Lego Star Wars holiday special. It looks so amazing and fun. We seriously should watch party it. You are so hardcore about this. You literally posted your comment in using different words twice. Okay.
He means business.
Okay. It took me by surprise, but can't wait to meet the Lego Chewbacca family. Oh, Matthew, if they don't include, first of all, hold on, let me back up. Ashley, have you seen the original the original Star Wars holiday special from 1977?
No, I didn't even know that there was one.
Terrible. Look it up on YouTube. Do your best to stick with it. I think it's like an hour and a half. It's so bad. But try to stick with it, because the more you stick with it, the more crazy it gets, and not necessarily in a good way. Stick with it.
I'm down. Sounds like a good time.
But yes. I have a feeling. Okay, so Matthew, the trailer ends. If any of us remember, the trailer for this new Lego Star Wars holiday special ends with the younger version and the older version of Han Solo looking at Greedo and saying, should you shoot? Do you want to shoot first? And then he's like, no, we'll just do it together. Kabam! And then they shoot Greedo, right? Which is a callback to fandom, back to the George Lucas special edition of editing the fact that Han Solo actually shot and killed Greedo before Greedo had a chance to shoot Han Solo. So it was a complete retcon what George Lucas did to the first film. And if they're going to call themselves out for that, or rather, if the Lego Star Wars holiday special is going to call out Lucasfilm and by extension George Lucas for doing that, I don't see how they're not going to include Chewbacca's family, doing Life Day on Chewbacca's home planet, or at least some sort of reference to that. They have to. It's ingrained in everything that we love and hate about Star Wars. Ashley, do you think that they're going to include some of these more Easter eggy things for the fans in this film?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier I watched all of the Star Wars in chronological order. So and I know they were made at different times, so some of the inside jokes are a bit scattered, but I loved in watching them that there were so many little Easter eggs like that. The Han Solo Star Wars story film that they came out with had a bunch of them, and I was like, it just made me like the character more because it's so gimmicky, but it also makes me appreciate the direction of it because it's like they know, and the cast members, they know going into this, like, it's a little gimmicky. Like, gimmicky. We get it. Some of our movies are like total bombs, but we can't say that on an airplane. Sorry.
But we're not on an airplane.
Yeah, I think it's gonna
bomb.
Oh, yeah. Wow, it feels so liberating to finally be able to say it after all these years, you know? Yeah, I think it's going to be really good, and I think it should be full of gimmicks and Easter eggs because that is the Star Wars
I
tradition.
tradition. I agree. Couldn't agree more. Matthew Wiles rounds out our comment section by saying, "Last point, Mike. Saying something has too much improv is so classic 2020. Trying to destroy everything we hold dear. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Like the comment that I was referring to, 2016 Ghostbusters. One of the things that Paul Feig, the director, very famously allowed for all of his actors to do on set was just improvise as much as they wanted, and then like afterwards, after they filmed all it was that they were going to film, then they edited everything together, and because there was so much improvisation, the story of the Ghostbusters movie wasn't incredibly as coherent as maybe the original script would have lent it to be. But yes, I totally understand what you're saying, is that the last point that anybody should be saying is that there's too much improv, especially here in 2020. It is such a classic 2020 thing, trying to destroy everything that we hold dear. My apologies. I would never want to incur that upon anyone or anything. Oh dear. Yeah, Ash, where do you stand on on improvisation in 2020?
God, it's fine balance because that's all that anyone's been doing this year. We're just like kind of making it up as we go. It's all we really can do. But then at the same time, you want a little bit of structure. You kind of just want to know what's going on, the beginning, the
A little
middle, and the end.
sous-song.
And yeah, right, yeah. So, I mean, I for one don't think that there can ever be too much improv. But certainly this year has challenged me in that
We're certainly
thinking
making it up as we go. We are making it up as we
all
go.
the time.
All right, well, that was our last comment and or question from Mr. Matthew Wiles, and really from anyone in the chat board today. So, everybody, thank you so much for commenting. Thanks very much for being a part of the conversation. Ash, thank you for being here and taking time out of your busy day, your busy week, your busy schedule to spend some time with us and just talk about like all the stuff that we love chit-chatting about, movies and movie news.
Thanks for
Well, of
having me. I
course. I hope you come
appreciate it.
back again. Ash, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you online and if there's any interesting projects in your life coming up in the near future.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Where in the Ward. That's my last name, WARD. Um, Not much going on there right now, but I'm in real estate. I live in Denver, so I've been pursuing real estate out here, and that's been really fun. Also, my dad, so this is going to get like serious for a second, but this is something that will be popping up on my social media. My dad is homeless in Houston, and he has been for a really long time, and he has a total hip replacement coming up. So I've been trying to navigate the homeless situation that has gotten so out of hand because of coronavirus. And it's such a personal connection to me because I'm in real estate. Housing is important to me. I believe, you
Wow.
know, shelter is a basic human necessity along with food and
Yeah.
water. So, and because I've seen it firsthand with my dad, and because now I have an opportunity to help him, I'm in a place now where I can help him. Um, it's just going to be an interesting thing to kind of see how that unfolds. And that's what will be happening on my social media for probably the rest of my
Now,
life.
if
So,
you don't mind, I mean, you got personal. If you don't mind me getting a little personal with you for a moment, is you say that that your father's currently homeless? Is he homeless as a result of the COVID pandemic? Am I getting
no.
too
So,
personal here? This is the first that I'm hearing of this.
yeah, yeah, it's really not something I talked about. And really we could go as deep into it as you want, but really my dad, he has alcohol and drug abuse issues, and he had more so when he was younger.
Mm.
Now he uses, but really just to keep the pain at a minimum. He was jumped last year, by just a random group of guys, and they broke his femur. And that was last August. And in January, that rod broke, and he didn't have a phone. He couldn't get to the hospital. I hadn't been in contact with him. So, yeah, he's just been in a lot of pain. But yeah, his homelessness is kind of a result of, him having a felony for, I think, possession. And then, that is honestly just a result of he had a really traumatic upbringing. And he's an indigenous man. He's from the Assiniboine tribe up in Montana, Fort Peck, Montana. And I think that's probably why I haven't really talked about it before, because I don't look indigenous. But I feel like a big part of my story stems from my dad's indigenous culture or lack thereof, because he was adopted off of the reservation when he was a baby. So yeah, he's just had a crazy life. And now I'm kind of at a point where I see it for what it is, and I see that he's deserving, just like everyone is, of shelter. And because I'm in real estate now and I understand the importance of housing equality, it's kind of just like these two pieces of my life are merging together. It's very fun.
Wow. Well,
it's very sad, but also very fun.
I'm glad that we can end the show on such an uplifting and positive note. Is there, I say that very tongue in cheek. Is there any kind of, like a Venmo, account or anything that we can, promote or, help your situation, help your father's situation out a little bit? Like I said, this is the first time that I'm hearing of it. Is there anything that we can do maybe to help your father's situation, or maybe anyone else's situation that we see in that kind of regard?
Yeah, I've actually been trying to do my like due diligence here in Denver and look up what the homeless resources are, and see kind of what the needs are. Right now, I don't have a Venmo set up for my dad. I did have a few friends donate, and then I had some other friends use that donation money to go buy him some new clothes and bring those to him. So, but because of the transient lifestyle of homeless people, it's really hard to just say like, I can hold your money and then dish out. Like, I can't just buy my dad a wardrobe full of clothes. And, and people do have issues with giving money to homeless people. And I understand that, certainly. I mean, it's challenging because you don't ever want to enable someone, but you want to help them in any way you can. So right now, no, we don't have anything really lined up for that.
I'll tell you what, once you start getting something like that figured out, let me know, and I'll put all the links, or like how we can help, or maybe outreach programs or anything, in the description of this video. Just let me know, and I'll, in the future, I'll just go ahead and update the description of the video. So for future people, if you happen to be watching this right now, I mean, we're going live on November 5th, 2020. So if you're watching this video anytime post November 5th, 2020, jump down to the comment section below, or jump down to the description of the video, and check out some of these links that hopefully we've posted by the time that you're watching this, so that we can help, because again, like, the film fan community is a community, just like cosplayers or gamers. We kind of tend to look after our own a little bit, and so I think, like, or improvisers, like, it's an actual community where we are all part of a unit. So any chance that we have to kind of like help and take care of our own, let's try and do that a little bit. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for giving us your insight and your expertise and your knowledge and your wisdom and, alternate perspectives of things that, I wouldn't stop and consider normally. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always so good connecting with you. I'm pretending this entire time that we're just on either side of the beverage cart. That was always my favorite, working with you. It's just us going down the aisle.
Can I get you anything to drink? I'm not going to go through the entire contents of the beverage cart. Tell me what you want to drink.
Do you want to? No? Okay, great.
Oh.
Yeah. That's kind of how it goes.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, well, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what every single flight attendant in the world would want you to do. All right, guys, my name is Mike Brown. This is Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time, maybe about an hour and a half out of your day to come chit-chat and, be part of the movie fan community. Yeah, I think that will do it for me. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and ideas and opinions. Sometimes those thoughts, ideas, and opinions can clash with one another. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness in the world today, I highly encourage you to take that opportunity. Please speak kind words to each other. And until tomorrow, have a most beautiful evening.